Hey there, we are having a issue with the wireless microphone, so I have my leash on today. And we're talking about hip workshop style pose breakdowns. And this is one of the things that I'm going to be adding for the level 2 and level 3 Patreon folks, patrons. So earlier we talked about dragon. Let's back that up. Let's cut that out. Hi. Hi there. Hi, yogis. So we are talking about hips and breaking down some hip poses in yin yoga. Earlier in Don't say Hey yogis. So we are talking about hip poses and breaking down hip poses for yin yoga. Sorry, I have my leash on today. The wireless mic is cranky. I don't know. It's a Tuesday. It's a Tuesday when I'm recording this, whenever you watch it. So earlier we were talking about, in an earlier video anyway, we were talking about the dragon pose and different versions of dragon pose. So when we talk about pose breakdowns for yin yoga, I'm going to go into different variations, different way to use props. And if you ever have any questions, please comment, please send me a message. Or if you have a pose that you want to learn about or is something that's giving you fits, let me know about that also. And today, just simply butterfly pose. Butterfly pose. I'm actually going to grab, let me out of the screen for just a second. I'm going to grab just a simple throw pillow as a prop because this is for your home-based practice. I like the blocks. I share the link on where to get blocks a lot. If you need it, let me know. I will send it to you directly. But blocks are wonderful. These yoga blocks are made, they're soft, first of all. There's two different kinds. There's a cork block, which has its purpose, but for this particular pose, it doesn't work as well because it doesn't have as much give. The soft foam blocks have the give that you need for support in your butterfly poses. And there's beveling on all of the edges so that you can angle them in. See, not on that one. See, they kind of stick. In our butterfly pose in yin yoga. So this is, I know I say so a lot. We're going to start making that a drinking game apparently. Count how many times Michelle says so. In our hatha poses, we're drawing the heels in towards the hips. You sit up tall, you engage the core, you engage the legs, and you fold forward with a lot of intention and active muscles. In our yin poses, we're bringing the heels out forward. So when you look down, you see more of a diamond shape. I say that a lot, yes. But the idea is we're getting into connective tissues. So if I'm engaging muscles and drawing the heels in, the connective tissues are protected by the muscles. And so when we move the heels out and we relax the legs a little more, it's not that we're hurting the connective tissue, we're just able to get below the muscle engagement and get into there's a lot of ligaments, especially for women. There's a lot of ligaments around the hips and the low back. And then you would take your blocks for the most part. Some of you don't have to, but especially in the beginning of a yoga sequence, a yin yoga sequence, try using the blocks at first. Try making a progression because usually, at least in my sequences, the seated forward fold style butterfly pose is going to be earlier and it's going to be after just a little bit of warm up, and maybe a reclined is going to be later. Now, we will sometimes do a recline later, and then I will say, absolutely use your blocks underneath your thighs. So blocks, no blocks. However, home practice, there's all kinds of things that you can use for props. Throw pillows, a throw blanket, if you have the woven blankets that I use a lot. Pool noodles. We're doing a whole sequence on pool noodles because I use them all the time, even in public classes. So blocks for your butterfly. So we've only gotten to the legs part. Here is the spinal part. in our yin style, we're going to roll forward. So I'm going to move this way a little bit with my leash and roll forward. So I'm rounding through the upper spine. I'm rounding through the mid-back and the upper spine, between the shoulder blades even, shoulders away from ears, chin to the chest. Why do we roll? Because this is yin. This is not hatha. I'm not building muscle and engaging the core. I am getting into ligaments and fascia and some tendons back in the back, but there's ligaments on either side and on the back and the front of the spine. It's all protected by the ligaments, but there's a thickening of fascia. Fascia is that webbed style connective tissue that kind of holds the body together. And there's a thickening of that fascia in the mid-back, in the upper back, just above the shoulder blades, and also in the lower back. And so we're trying to get into that mid and upper back fascia. And by rounding, you can create some lengthening, some tension. But the key is, as we all know, is to breathe and relax, and you'll sink down. Every time you exhale, you sink down a little more probably. So that is your seated butterfly. And then there's supine, or Supta Baddha Konasana, where we're lying down. But it's the same thing. As you're lying down, you can, and I want to make sure I'm not out of the frame, but blocks. Oh, look, that pillow landed right where I wanted it to. Now, those of you who have a lot of flexibility and just don't get anything out of a simple reclined butterfly, especially towards the end of class when you've moved some connective tissue a lot, you can place that block between your feet. So what that did is it moved the legs apart a little more. So it changes the way the femur bone is going into the hip socket. Fancy pants, you don't need to know that, but if you were wondering, and I just got a pop, that was great. It changes the way the femur bone goes into the hip socket or the acetabulum. You can also place the feet on top of the block, and then that's going to create more distance for you to go. Some of us who have a lot of external rotation, that's this rotation in the leg, might need that. Those of you who have more internal rotation, you probably want the block underneath the thigh. And then once you get into your leg position, then arms kind of wherever they want to rest, but maybe over the head stretches a little more. So that is our breakdown on butterfly for yin. If you have any questions, please comment, please let me know. Please message me if you need to. Namaste.